last day of the fourth Cornhill Test match at Old Trafford. Welcome to the highlights, where England started the day in a very, very rough situation. A few clouds around, and play began half an hour late, in fact, because of some early morning rain. But it looked as though England, in the absence of any weather intervening, were in for a very, very difficult time. 120 for 5 they were, with the skipper David Gower 43, and Paul Allott, who played pretty well yesterday, 10 not out. The match situation, England began the day 100 runs behind. We pick up play now with the fifth ball of the day. The off-spinner Roger Harper is coming into bowl to Allott. No runs have been added. Behind, they have 5 wickets in hand, but one of those wickets is Paul Terry, and I doubt very much. Play now with the fifth ball of the day. The off-spinner Roger Harper is coming into bowl to Allott. No runs have been added to the overnight total. Oh, Desmond Haynes has picked him up, but it must have scrambled out of his hands there. We're obscured by Paul Allott. The umpire had given him out, but it must have jarred out behind Paul Allott.
And I think if we watch carefully, we'll see Desmond Haynes makes the catch, and as he hits the ground, his elbows jar. He's got the catch, bang, and out it comes. A little bit unlucky there. Very good piece of fielding, and here we can see it again from the Warwick Road end. Little inside edge onto the pad. It's up there a long time. He's caught it, and as he hits the ground, and there's Don Oslier giving him out.
And that's the ultimate insult. Having had a chance missed, then to have the batter smash one away over mid-wicket. One man who will have been pleased at the early morning rain, but not quite so happy now, is David Gower. When you're a captain and you're in trouble like this, you take anything. Cloud bursts, thunder, lightning. Anything that might be hard lines on the opposition means a wonderful bonus for you. Single to Gower. Slightly quicker one from Joel Garner. The 6th wicket goes down. Paul Terry is the 7th, and only 3 now stand between West Indies and victory.
And very full length this, and surprising not to see Paul Allott on the front foot. But beaten by the pace there and plucked out the off stump. There it goes, and bang. No better sight for a fast bowler than that.
There's a man out at long off, Michael Holding. Gower won't take the single there. Nicely placed. Could look for 3 or just keep it at the 1, or in fact Garner could let it go for 4. But Gower is just worried about the single. And I don't think Clive Lloyd's all that pleased. I think he was shouting out to Joel Garner to let it go. fact, Gower has managed to keep the strike. That's 45 not out for David Gower. Nick Cook hasn't yet faced a ball. A long conference going on there between Gower and Cook. Still to come, Pocock and Cowans. Terry would bat only in the most dire emergency imaginable. That would be if rain has delayed play and there are just a couple of balls by which England could escape. A little bit of extra lift there for Joel Garner.
Yes, and this delivery looked as though it went through the top of the wicket here. Took a piece out and climbed very steeply at David Gower there.
And Granny just making no haste. He's quite happy to let it go for 4, but in fact Gower has taken the single once again. And Nick Cook about to face his first ball. And it's the last ball of the over. Harry Gomes goes to goal. Greenwich in close on the offside, and Garner, thoughts going through his mind at the moment, may well be to produce the very best Yorker of which he's capable. Didn't need the Yorker. He's got the outside edge instead. 2 wickets to Joel Garner this morning. Paul Allett and then Nick Cook. The latter, the first ball he faced. It's now 127 for 7. And David Gower is 46 not out.
Well, no real effort at a shot at all there by Nick Cook, just pushing at it, not behind it. Little outside edge, and that's out, and he's on his way. And Nick Cook just turning the face of the bat there. And tiny little nick, and Dujon does miss this.
Yeah, that was the last ball of the over. Gower has strike again, and it's to be Roger Harper. Ooh, and that must have hurt. Haynes is not having much of a trot. He's dropped 2 chances and then got one right on the shin bone.
David Gower really middled this full toss. Tremendous clip. Oh, and it hit Desi Haynes just below the knee. On the shin. Very, very painful indeed, I would think. But he's on his feet.
Still, there are worse places you could be hit than just below the knee. And he's called it a day. Going back for the single now. Field goes back now to stop the single. See anything quite like that before. I can understand the extra padding, but it looks as though it's just inside the pad without actually being attached to the inside flap of it.
It's interesting seeing this padding flying out of David Gower's pad here. Strange enough, it's the back pad. And that must have been very, very close to the stumps there.
Garner, third man out this morning. Pocock goes. Caught Garner, bowled Harper. Pat Pocock won't be at all pleased about that for a number of reasons, one of which will be that it's the opposition off-spinner who has dismissed him. Bowlers tend not to like it to happen that way. Made naught, so he's picked up a pair in this match. And Harper now has his best bowling figures in Test match cricket.
And there's the dismissal, and he didn't really go to hit it very hard either. If he was going to have a go, he might as well have swung his bat fairly hard and just gently lobbed into those bucket-like hands of Joel Garner.
128 for 8 now. England having started the morning at 120 for 5. That was with Gower 43 and Aladon 10. Exactly 100 behind. They've now gone on to 128 for 8. And Paul Terry will certainly not bat. And that's the 50 for David Gower. A fighting knock, but he'll be disappointed out there, even though it is a personal best in the series for him. His previous best at Headingley, 43.
And David Gower has placed 143 balls and hit 7 fours. It's 22nd Test 50, not including his 900s.
Up an easy 2. That's Cowan's game. He's not a defensive player. And they're giving him 4 runs just so he can keep the strike. Not as though the West Indies don't have plenty of runs to play with. It's a bit ambitious to be bowling without an outfielder, Norman Cowans. He's got a hit like a kicking mule, and he really gets onto one. It can't have been far away. I felt it probably hit him on the back leg.
Very interesting, this. In fact, it turned a bit. The funny thing was that Norman Cowans almost started to walk.
Joel Garner has his field spread a little now. He has 3 slips and, well, it's not really even a deep gully. Greenwich is at a fairly shortish point. And they've lost one. Desmond Haynes has Just making a quick trip to the dressing room. Gus Logie is coming out to have a run. Before there for Gower, no third man. Takes him on to 57, and he'll be casting half a glance up at some of the very heavy clouds coming over from round about mid-on as he faces Joe Garner. The light is still quite good, but the clouds are sweeping across fairly quickly now. In fact, the sun is out over the ground, but not about half a mile away. Looks fairly bleak. And that cloud could easily cause some delay in play. Anything is worth a go at this stage for England. If they can just hang on, and if that cloud does burst over the ground, you just never know with these things. A forlorn hope it may be, but definitely worth clutching at it. 142 for 8, and England still 78 runs behind. Harper to bowl to Cowans, and after Tom Graveney it'll be Jim Laker.
Yes, well, I think the clouds won't come soon enough and the rain won't come quick enough. It's only one wicket really between West Indies and their 4th consecutive win over England, and Harper coming in now. And Cowans has a big swing at that. I don't think he got anywhere near. I think 4 byes he tried. 4 byes against Geoffrey Dujon.
Tom, in fact, that ball not spinning, going straight on. Going for 4 between the keeper and slope. Round the wicket now. It's fairly safe. High in the air, over the top of big Joel Garner. And it's 4 on the offside.
The lofted off drive. Don't think it went where it was intended to go, but he's a pretty strong man. Even a thick edge went for 4.
150 up now for England. He's down, he's given that a mighty big hit, and that's soared away over Gus Logie, the substitute fielder, into the seats for 6. A bit of enjoyment for the few people that have come along here this morning.
And a tremendous strike. This is the quicker one. And Norm picked that up high over mid-wicket into the blue seats.
Oh, he's got him out. Would you believe it? An almighty mow he had at that. He's around the pad. He was slowly spinning back. He was looking to see if he'd middled it or not. And whilst his eyes were far away, the ball slipped very quietly back. Knocked off a bail, and it goes down as bowled. So 156. Carnes out after that brief little flurry. And of course no Paul Terry, so that is it.
Well, how unlucky can you get? Watch this. He swishes away, goes very, very high, and it just bounces down, gently knocks the off bail off. Quite remarkable. Well, it's been a bit of a remarkable cricket match.
Indeed, it was a remarkable match, and there the England captain David Gower is left high and dry on 57 not out. That's not a very good looking scorecard. 156 all out, having started the day at 120 for 5. The reason it's not looking so good is that Roger Harper has taken his best ever bowling figures today. 6 for 57 from 28.4 overs and 12 maidens, and that made up, in part anyway, for the fact that he was so unlucky in the first innings where he bowled a lot of overs but had no success. Joel Garner, 2 wickets today, 2 for 25, and Michael Holding, 1 for 21. And it turned out, in the end, to be a win for the West Indies by an innings and 64 runs here in this Old Trafford Test match, when they were 70 for 4 on the first morning. They were got out of it by Gordon Greenwich, who played a masterly innings, and for that, he was nominated as Player of the Match by Ted Dexter after the conclusion of proceedings today. And a very worthy award it was too. Greenwich is a magnificent batsman, and he played wonderfully well here and at Lord's earlier in the summer. West Indies by an innings and 64 runs, and that really is a very, very conclusive margin. At the end, after all the festivities were over, Peter West talked with the two skippers.
Clive, well played yet again. I think the needle's getting stuck in the groove, isn't it?
Well, seems so, Peter.
What are your thoughts on this latest victory?
Well, I thought we played rather well, but there again, having won the toss and batted, it was one of those decisions that you had to, looking at the wicket over the years. And I thought at one stage we looked like we were going to be in some trouble. But then Gordon and Jeffrey Duchamp batted extremely well and pulled us out of it. We got a formidable total, and one that I'm sure would have given England some problems, which it did.
Perhaps we can come back to Greenwich and Duchamp in a moment. I'd like to go to David. They often say, David, that fortune favours the big battalions, and here you were, having announced you were going to play 2 spinners, and you lost the toss.
Yes, it does make it slightly unpleasant, slightly unfortunate that way, that if you set out on a hopeful strategy of catching them later on in the game, when you happen to be batting there instead of them, it sort of rather upsets it. And as regards that record that they've got the groove stuck in, I think we'll just try and change it for the Oval. Pick a new one.
You must have thought at 70 for 4, my word, is this the breakthrough? Is this the glimpse of the promised land?
Well, yes, that was a wonderful start, really. And Paul Alec bowled straight, bowled well, got rewards that he might not have expected to get quite at that stage of the game. And at that stage, things are looking good. And you always know that someone can get together. You always think, well, let's hope it doesn't happen. But this side we're playing against seems to have got itself out of any sort of trouble it's found itself in virtually every time.
Let's come back to Greenwich and Duchamp then, Clive.
Yeah, well, Jeff has never really made 100 outside of the West Indies, and it was good to see him, batting the way he batted. Put his head down, played quite sensibly, and he's a magnificent player. He's a class player, and it was good to see that he got a few. Well, Gordon, he just goes on all the time. He's been batting extremely well this year. But looking at his results, it seems that he loves England. For some reason, he loves batting in England. He's got some marvelous scores in England, and he's one of our frontline batsmen for quite a long period now.
And you must be pleased that your young spinner Roger Harper is coming on so productively.
Well, yes, I think we were looking for somebody of that nature for the last couple of years. I mean, during my period as captain, I've tried about 14 spinners, but nobody came up, with the goods like Roger. And I think that he's a perfect foil for our fast bowlers, and I think he's learning with every game.
And when is the production line of West Indies fast bowlers going to end? Is it ever going to end, Clive? Because you call up Winston Davis, and he was very lively here today, wasn't he, in this match?
Yes, he's very quick, it's no doubt about that, but it's just that at times his line is a little bit wayward. But he's a good prospect, and I hope the production line continues.
David, let's talk about the good things in the England performance.
Well, Alan Lamb, very much so. He's now set a new record as a run scorer, as a 100 scorer against the West Indies, and that's obviously a very notable achievement. And after he'd had such a wretched time abroad over the winter and somewhat in the previous summer here, it's magnificent to see him looking so good, looking so confident, and proving once and for all what a good player he is. Because he had a good time in Australia a couple of winters back, where he got a lot of runs without getting 100, and people were starting to say, when's the 100 coming? When's he going to make it properly? And I'm very glad to see him come through like this summer.
Can I ask you what the thinking was in the England dressing room at the time when Paul Terry was told to get his pads on?
Well, yeah, again, very much, it was firstly really with Alan. because he was there on 98 at the end of the over, and I thought he might as well have a chance to get 100. It's not often you get even 100 against West Indies, let alone 3. And so I was quite happy for Paul just to occupy the other end. And then once Alan had got the 100, just thought, well, why not see if you can just spar a little bit, if you can, by some fluke, get the other 20, then all to the good. But I wasn't expecting him to get into line or to risk himself in any serious way. And of course, Big Joel does bowl that Yorker rather well.
Because it did seem when Alan Lamb had taken 2 and reached his 100, he looked your way as if he was expecting you to declare and bring them all back again.
Well, yes, I mean, that would have been, I suppose, a reasonable thing to do under the circumstances. But as I say, we weren't intending that Paul should get in any real physical danger, being as incapacitated as he was. And it was really just a question if you could get a long handle on it, slide it through the slips once or twice, perhaps Lammy might slog a couple. It was a little bit sort of clutching at straws. And as such, in the end, we didn't really gain much, we didn't really lose much.